for Footballers Only. This is all about the beautiful game, football. On here, we talk to players before they become professionals. We talk to professionals, we talk to coaches, and we talk to fans of the game. We also cover hot topics and present our views on football news. For Footballers Only is brought to you by the DC11 Project. You can learn more by going to dcxiproject.com.
And do that. But what I was mentioning is that the 1%, there is a 1% out there, a small group of guys that are able to now take it to a level beyond college or are interested in moving it to a point where they would like to see some trials. And I would be kind of a good judge of that. Like I, especially now working with a lot of the international folks. So we work a lot with agents overseas, and we work a lot with clubs directly overseas in Finland, Germany, UK, Spain, and I'm missing one more, and in Poland. And so we work directly with clubs there as well as agents, and to get some of these kids trials, that makes sense. Now UK is a little bit difficult, but it's a path that could go, but it's more logistical with visas and things like that. But we definitely got 3 kids who are in 2019 when we had the Chelsea camp. A kid came there the same time you did. We had a evaluation thing with the Chelsea coaches, and he came there. He just finished his first year at was it Mount St. Mary's Division I school, and he just wanted to try his luck, see what's up. Get evaluated, have them grade him. And they were like, yeah, no, we think you'll be good overseas at somewhere. So that was sort of a little learning process, because he went over there, he did his trials, they liked him. He even got feedback from Arsenal coaches and a bunch of different guys that were saying, like, who is this kid in America, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, it's good, blah, blah. But the thing is, him being 18 at the time obviously didn't work well in any of their programs, because it's not like they just grab kids and drop them in programs like that. But it was more like, he'll do well at X, Y, and Z club 3 levels below. And so knowing that process, he eventually got an offer for a what they call a non-league club there. And but then the pandemic hit, he couldn't return. But then now he's over there right now, which I just posted on the IG story today. He's back over there today, or since Sunday, going right back at it to get back the non-league option in Manchester. And so the way that would work logistically is, especially for anyone listening to how that would work, because people always say, oh no, Americans can't play in the UK. You can, actually. You can if you're looking at it from the standpoint of showcasing yourself, with the idea of getting a student visa. So not a work permit, like how, like the Sergio Agueros and those guys have to get, but a student visa. So what you do is you go to the school there. So instead of doing your college, in fact, instead of doing colleges here, you could do your college over there. It's a 3-year college. You get a student visa and you play non-league ball. And you're working your way up. You can get moved to another team, and showcase yourself. What it does is you're not trying to go there to build out a career and climb to the EPL. That's not what it's, but what you are trying to do is showcase yourself. The more buzz about you. Yeah, he's good. I even had I work with a contact at Wolverhampton, and he said, if you bring this particular kid, I won't name his name, I'll come to one of those games. You know what I'm saying? So we have developed a sort of a connection with a lot of different scouts. And that scout in itself, he was the one that discovered N'Golo Kante. So he brought N'Golo Kante to, I believe it was Leicester at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And, he has a knack for looking for talent that's not at the top. And so he and I had a discussion about that. So and he'll just come to watch a game. They recommend a different non-league club, but at least they're able to now go to school, now play over there, get showcased a little bit. But then, the student visa is up, and maybe if things happen, and because the thing is, systematically, there's a lot of things that are wrong with allowing someone like that kid, or a kid that I may identify, you may have, that is a top player. to play overseas professionally, especially when it deals with things like work permits, as well as number of U.S. caps that need to have, national caps that need to happen. And that U.S., as of today, that U.S. cap thing is bothering me right now, because there are players that are, people would like on, I won't say specifically, but there's people that want them on a higher teams, but they have not featured on a U.S. national team at any point. And that's a problem. And they would have been on a top club. So so it's just, that's the challenges I guess I have when it comes to that stuff. But yeah.
No, talk about that, the U.S. cap thing real quick. Just break it down.
Well, I wouldn't say specifically I have a full understanding of it. That's number one. But what I do know is that you have to have a minimum of, I believe it's 4 or 5 caps for either youth team or the senior team to be in the top league. So let's say the EPL or whatever it is for US. Now, I don't know, it may differ for Canada or may differ for whatever it is, but you have to be featured as a youth athlete, a youth national team player, to make a dent into those leagues. And that's usually what the first thing they ask, is he a national team player? And I'm like, no, he doesn't have to be. In fact, I always tell them the best players aren't on a national team. You know what I'm saying?
Question. So if a kid is good as Messi, he still need to get a cap on.
Yeah. He won't even get. You could be Messi, Ronaldo, and CR9 combined. They would. It's a difference. It's not.
Is that all that system is only based?
It's a FIFA thing.
It's a FIFA thing.
It's a FIFA thing. Yeah. It's not. And you'll find that even it's not just in UK. It's actually in a lot of other leagues in the Netherlands. Oh, and I forgot to mention Netherlands too. I work with some folks in the Netherlands. And to get in the top league there, you have to have been showcased as a senior in your national country, appear there, or in the youth league. I think it's like I see some kids at U20s getting 4 caps and then make 1 senior appearance, and then they're in the EPL in some cases. So and also in other leagues in France as well, same thing. So but and that may change. Like I said, I know specifically that's the challenge right now, because I don't even know specifically what the number is, but I definitely know it was 4 last time I checked, or 1 for senior. So 4 or 1, and my guys don't have any. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, it's not even a question whether, and like I was trying to explain to them, and this is my bigger issue, which I don't want to divert from this, but I've had discussions with folks in the US FA area about how they recruit. Like, why is it so tunneled? And I realized I was just up against a monster. So I realized it's not meant to change. Let me just put it that way. It's not designed to change. It's so you could have a top player, like you mentioned there, and they would not be looked at unless they're they were on the U.S. national team. So let me just go with that first. So that's a struggle. But you know what though? What I always educate a lot of the players on, especially not just my players, but anybody that, because we also help. We help some youths in college who come to us sometimes who never played for Aspire, but sign up with us as an affiliated player that want to go overseas, and we're actually sending 2 of them overseas. One's actually on a professional team here in Maryland, and we help them get trials overseas, and they're going to be going in November, things like that. But the way that would work is, for example, remember that's to go to the top league. Now you can make a good living, at the 3rd division somewhere. You know what I mean? 2nd division, you getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, you could shoot for it, but just understand that you could, wherever you start, you could finish out somewhere. In fact, you could have a good living in non-leagues. The one guy, not one of our guys, but one of the people that we have over there that we work with, he's getting, it's like 4,000, 3,000 a week. You know what I'm saying? So it's fine. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it. So you could, so it's not, it's just, you just have to figure out where you land, you know what I'm saying? And so whether it's, we always say to folks, especially some of the guys that we have guys from, it's called Aspire International for a reason. We have guys from literally every country that has been, I'd say every country, a lot of different countries. So, you know, we got guys from Togo, we got from Chad, we got guys from everywhere. And so what I'm more interested now, I'd almost say it's a bigger interest right now, is now we have a guy from Eritrea. And so we're saying, I know you could play for Eritrea. There's no question, you know what I'm saying? Because he's balling. And coaches are after him right now, D1 and D2 and all this other stuff, NAIA. And I'm like, you could play for Eritrea. So what we're working on is now getting some of those players national team looks in their own country, because that's something that even at the youth level, I have one kid right now who's 18. I'm going to try we're working on with Jamaica. He's Jamaican, trying to get him to the U20s Jamaican national team, get him as caps. So, you know, so it's different ways to work it. But, you know, you got some guys that come from like the Cameroon and Ghana, like, good luck with that. Like, it's too, I'm sorry.
We got too many ballers.
We gotta find another way.
You might be able to get citizenship somewhere else.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
go that way.
You got to play for that team. No. And so or Nigeria, so it's tough. But
anyway, West Africa is a challenge.
It's
I have two questions. I want to go back a little bit about the program. So how do you get the kids to sign up? Like any kids, you can just, how do kids sign up? And
it's literally open. So I mean, we do have trials. I guess that's one thing we've done more or tryouts, I guess you'd say tryouts the past more recent years. In the past, we didn't really have formal tryouts. It was just little word of mouth, kids in that area between the Paint Branch, the Springbrook's, the Sherwood, the Blair type areas that were just in that area. Now, why that area? That's another thing too, in terms of challenge. I definitely want to expand more into other areas, but it's just time, right? So, but there's no formal, I would say only this year we'd had a formal tryout process to fill a few spots of the guys, because literally if all them kids going off to college, we need to figure out how we're going to get players in and still keep a sort of a chemistry to it. So it wasn't it, because also the thing is, remember, these guys grew up together. So it's a lot of kids that had a good chemistry, a lot of friends on there, a lot of this and that, and it developed more of a family feel to it, as opposed to, say, trying out folks at 17, 18 and try and bring in the best balls. That's not something I definitely am not interested. I always tell the kids, I'm not interested in creating the best team. Like that's not that may be leave that for the bigger clubs or whatever. We're not trying to win any cup. Like that's actually a bad thing for us right now. We're not trying to, win a bunch of trophies and whatever. If it was, it would be a different story. We'd be bringing in kids, cutting kids. It would be very cutthroat. Right now it's, develop some guys we even have a U13 group, develop some of those guys, make sure, they could play. And I know already even seeing kids at 14 years, there's one kid that's 14 years old. I already know he's going to have some college offers. And I just kind of already know that ahead of time. So it's just more fine tuning what he has. He's a shifty kind of guy, like a junior JJ Kocha type guy. So I'm like, okay, we can fine tune that, but I know you're going to have some opportunities. So instead of having that sort of like, oh, I wonder if I'm ever going to play in college. No, you're going to play. And I even let some of these kids know you're going to play. That's not the issue. What you need to do is fix it. You know what I'm saying? Fix those things, fix, losing the ball, fix all those different things. And so those are the type of things that we don't really have. I know it's a long answer to the thing, but we actually don't have formal tries. Sometimes we do, but really if someone showed up and they could play and they're within our age range and we have a spot, because our spots, we usually keep roughly 21, 22 group of players. Okay. And we have spots now, we'll have them come up. And if they can get there, usually it's guys that are all of our guys. As I said, I really take pride in joy in some of these guys, because they're walking. Some kids taking 3 buses to practice, walking, bicycle. One guy lives up in Albany, he's riding his bicycle to this place, jumping on the bus. So it's real guys that want to be there. Yeah. And so as opposed to parents dropping them off, and all that. So it's a good feel because when they're there, they're there to ball. They're not there to, they'll joke around for sure, but they're not like, it's not a chore. No one's pushing them to go play. And that's a great feeling to have. And, but I definitely keep the perspective, like, this is not where you don't, because they get that, because we have it's sort of a mix. It could be a mixed message to some kids that we're getting players from here to pros. And people are like, oh, well, you got a guy going over trying, like, no, so that you're not ready. Okay. And I'm telling you that, like, we had a kid right now who just already sitting on a college offer, already committed to the college, and is saying, can I go over to Poland and try out like this guy or whatever? I'm like, you're not ready. I'm telling you, I can't explain it any better. It won't work. You know what I'm saying? And then you're better off showing best. Now he's a little bit of a late developer, but he's good. But get 2-3 years in of the college of scene here, maybe 4 years, whatever you want to do, and then hit up Poland. It'll be fine. And you look more polished rather than a young kid just losing the ball, blah, blah. But a lot of kids, I think that's why I was going back to what I was saying initially, is a lot of kids get clouded by seeing a lot of the guys that are going overseas, either signing deals, but believe it or not, as I work with a lot of the guys in Germany, they're signing academy deals. They're not really signing they're really not signing what we think is a pro deal in the Bundesliga, for example. But it seems that way. Now, the exception is but he made his way, is like a kid from Canada. Alfonso. Yeah, he was already playing in MLS. So he was a different, but there's kids that we see, a lot of kids are saying, yeah, I'm going over to try out with Bayern Munich. I'm going over trying this. And people are like, oh my gosh, how do I get that? It's academy. And so what I'm working on, if you ask kind of where the step that I'm working on with overseas, is actually opening up those doors with those academy teams, those academy professional teams, whether it be Bayern, maybe a little bit on the high end, but I'm looking at the second division. What are you doing with those academy teams, or third division? And we're making some progress there. And that's something that I think for sure is going to happen, especially if a kid, literally what I posted in our Aspire chat for these kids is, at 14, would you be willing to go, had you been 14, do you as a player think you'd be ready to go overseas and stay in a residential academy? Because that's a different story than saying, you want to be pro, There are sacrifices that have to be made. And while a kid may say yes, even as a parent myself, I don't know if I could do that. You know what I'm saying? I know, Mike, you're not ready for that. Like, literally, okay, send the kid over there. And
we already had that conversation.
Yeah. And just have him reside and, good luck. But that's part of the things that are happening. The Leon Baileys, that are happening, that his story is the same situation. His dad just took him there at 13, and the Messis and those type of guys. But no, if anyone want to come by and swing by, we even have guys that just come to practice and show up, and it's like, yeah, I'm just here for one session, or my friend brought me, or whatever. And sometimes it was getting too much. I would say, yeah, don't, tell your friends that we're coming here to train. I don't want to break up the continuity, but we're definitely keeping an open door policy, I would say, for the most part. But yeah. So, all this stuff people talk about, the helicopter parents always at the, I don't have that problem at all. Like, I never had that problem, because I never see them. I mean, I'll talk to them, I meet them a couple of times, but it's definitely, and the truth is, a lot of these guys, their parents are working, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have double jobs. Their parents are just not driving them anywhere. They have to ask their sisters, just not ready to do all that driving. It's like such a themselves. So in other words, I'd almost